Okay, here we are at part 2 of our answer key for this practice or review packet. Write an equation of the line in slope-intercept form given the following criteria. So we've got a target point and we have a given slope. So hopefully you've got this practiced and down. You write y equals mx plus b and you sub in things you know. I know the slope is 2, so this is the 2 that's going right there. Then my x value goes right there. And then the 7 goes right there, and well, I'll get it all the way over there. And now I just carefully work through. Well, if 7 equals 4 plus b, I take away 4 from both sides. There's my b, there's my equation, okay? Same idea, goes through a given point, but has a slope of -2, all right? So again, write the y equals mx plus b, plug in everything that you know. Here's the slope of -2, there's the x value at 3, and there's the y value of 2. When I do the math, I get -6, and I add that to both sides. B equals 8. There's my equation. Find the slope of each line, then find the x and y intercepts. Okay, so this is a standard form. To find the slope most easily, I'm just going to do some solving. So I move the x term over because I know my target is y alone and positive equals mx plus b. So I move that over, and then I've got a -3 in front of that y. Don't forget the negative sign. When I divide everything, every single thing by -3, I get my equation for the line in slope-intercept form, and now I can see the slope is 5/3. Then I want to find the y and x intercepts. That's always when you have a 0 value, you just solve for the other one. It's easiest to go back to this form, I feel. When x is 0, you cover up the x and you just say, okay, what is y going to be? Divide both sides by -3. When you do that, you get y equals 2. Then do the converse of that. You cover up the y, and if 5x equals -6, I divide both sides by 5, and I will get -6/5. So these are your two intercepts. You don't have to write them as points. You can simply write them as that in that form as well. Here's another standard form, so do the same thing. Why don't you pause me and try it on your own? I'm going to subtract the -2x from both sides and then divide by -3. I've got this equation in slope-intercept form. There's my slope. I again plug in zeros. If I plug in 0 for x, I divide both sides by -3 and I get -4. When I plug in 0 for y, I divide both sides by 2 and I get 6. There we go. Hopefully we're getting in the groove. Finally, sketch the graph of each line. There's your starting point 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a slope of -1, +3. When you see the negative, just don't go negative because you'll be down here and that's a positive slope, but you can, if you want, go -3, then +1. Either one are good. That's that. This is x equals 2. You just go to x equals 2. It says nothing about the y, so y are all the points going anywhere you want. There you go. All right. Next is problem number 9. Oops, we got more. I guess this is 8 continued. Here we have point slope form. When you see this, if you want, you can say, oh, I know this is point slope form. There's my slope, m, and I'm starting at the point 1 because it's -1 and -3 because it's always the opposite. So if I go to 1, -3, there I am. And then I go up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, and there it is, okay? I graph this one similarly, but I think it's perhaps easier to do it by intercept method. In this case, when 3 and 2 multiply to make 6, it's really easy to say when x is 0, y has got to be 3. So when x is 0, I go to 3. Then when y is 0, x is 2. Plot 2 points, you can graph it. There you go. If you want to convert it into slope-intercept form, that's easy as well. This one is a slope-intercept form where there's a little invisible 1 out there for the slope, and my starting point is the point -5, -1. So -5, -1 is down there, and I go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. There we go. Y equals -4 is simply on the y-axis, go to -4, and then we don't know what x is, and we don't care, we just make a horizontal line. Get that down. It's really tough on a test when students switch that up and mix up which one is y and which one is x. If it's a y equals 4 or -4, go to the y-axis, go to the -4, make a dot there, and then you know you've got to extend it perpendicular. Okay, Write the equation of a line in any form that fits the following criteria. It goes through this point and is parallel to this line, which I believe that's a negative 5/4. Okay? So you're going to be parallel. You're going to have the exact same slope, and now you're going to go through that point. So it's going to be x minus that positive 4 and x minus a negative 4. So that's, or y minus a negative 4 is y plus 4. There we go. The line that goes through the point negative 4, negative 2, and is parallel to this line. So again, it's all about what is this slope, and you want the exact same slope. There it is, the exact same slope. X minus the x value, x minus a minus 4 plus 4, y minus a minus 2 plus 2. Again, you got it. Point slope form is the easiest when you're given a point and a slope. Okay, now it goes through the point 1 comma 0 and is perpendicular. So now we take this slope and we do the double flip. Double flip is flip the fraction and flip the plus and minus. It goes from minus to plus, and 4/5 to 5/4. We take that, we plug it in, and we do y minus 1 right there and y minus 0 right there. You can certainly write it as y equals 5/4 x minus 1 if you want to. That's also fine. Okay, we're getting there. Now we've got the last one of these. It's a line that goes through this point, negative 4, 2, and is perpendicular to the line with this slope. Well, I don't see a fraction there, so I have to make it into a fraction. M equals negative 2/1. Flip that upside down, and it's 1/2. Flip that from negative to positive. There we go. And plug in your point. Easy points. Here we go. Some multiple choice. There will be plenty of these in the test. Identify which of the following equations, which of the following lines are parallel. So I'm going to quickly do some slope analysis. That's a slope of 1/2. This one, when I move that over, that's a slope of just negative 2. There's nothing to divide by. So I got that slope, I got that slope. Here, when I move the negative, when I move 2x over, it becomes negative. I'm subtracting negative 2x. And then when I divide by negative 4, I get positive 1/2. So right there, I've got two parallels. So A and C are parallel. This one, you're again, point slope form, these are all parallel. And then if this one works out with a negative 2, these guys are parallel. So these ones are parallel, and the other three are parallel. So there are your combinations of one. Which of the following are perpendicular? You're going to do the same thing, but you're going to look for the double flipperooskies. Again, going through the slope very carefully. It's been done for us. Thank you so much, Ms. Collins. These guys are parallel, but we're looking for perpendicular. Those are double flips. That means those are double flips. And these are double flips. Oh my goodness. And then these and these. So that's a bunch that are perpendicular. A and B are perpendicular to C and D. Okay, that's a nice way to do it. I like that. There are 4 lines. There are 2 that are going like this, and there are 2 that are going like that. So you could list all of the pairs if you wanted, but that is the sensible shortcut way to do it. Well done, Ms. Collins. All right, now we are going to be graphing with our calculator. Let's see if I can do this in a couple of minutes. Suppose you plan to take fitness classes at your local gym, and memberships are based on these following plans. There's a flat rate deluxe membership, $200 a month, and you can take any number of classes. In doing these problems, it's important to know, like, what is going on? What are the variables? This is a month by month cost analysis, but what you're paying for is how many lessons you take, or it's the variable that we're introducing is the number of lessons. It's not the hour, it's not the number of months, for instance. It's how many lessons you take, okay, as you join this plan. So you can pay $200 and take an unlimited number of lessons. So that's going to be a graph that I'm going to actually do this right on the calculator to show you these skills. Yeah, so plan A is just a flat rate of 200. Don't make that 200x. It's not like each lesson you take is 200. It's that you can take unlimited lessons, and no matter how many lessons you've got, it's at 200. So this one is that each lesson is $12 if you pay that $40 membership fee. And this one is just you're showing up for one day, every lesson is 22 bucks. So I'm going to turn on the calculator. I'm going to go to my y equals. I'm going to clear these out and type in, okay, the flat rate. The flat rate plan is, what is it, 200? 200. The next is that if I pay 50 bucks, I can pay $12 per lesson. So I'm going to do 12x and then plus 40. So that's y equals mx plus b form. And then the pay-as-you-go has 0 if you take 0 lessons, but 22x is the slope if you just pay per lesson. Okay, so now I want to go right to the window. Don't do this. Don't do graph, because that's going to be whatever the window was the last time you used it, and it will probably be haywire. Don't do zoom 6. That takes you to a standard 10, 10, 10 up, 10 down window. In a real world problem, go right to that window and ask yourself, what is the fewest number of lessons I could take? Well, I could take 0 lessons. And what's the most lessons I could take? Well, in a month, I don't know, maybe 50. I'll be a day where I do 2 in a weekend or something. What's my scale going to be? That's just the ticky marks. You can make that 0 and it won't be any. My y value, the least I could pay would be 0, and the most I could pay would be 200, but I want to see a little bit above that, so I'll go 225. I'm going to make that 0. And when you graph it, you should see the flat rate. You should say the medium plan, and there's the steep plan. Well, clearly, I don't need to see as many of my x's as I have there. So I'm going to change that from 50 to maybe 15. And this will make it just a little bit easier to see. Okay? So what is the better plan if you take 4 classes? Well, you can plug 4 into each of those. I'm going to pay 200 bucks no matter what. If I take 4 classes there, that's going to be 48 plus 40 is 88. And if I take 4 times 22, that's also 88. So they're the same. That's the break-even point we've talked about, okay? If you graph the equations, it should look something like that. Your fancier calculators with color will show you which one is which. Under what circumstances would the number of lessons you use make plan A, B, or C a better choice? Just explain. So you can just see that if I'm taking up to the intersection of this point, anything less than that, the pay-as-you-go plan would be best. And then if I find this point, anything beyond that is going to be the flat rate. I can find those by doing the following keystrokes, so watch carefully. If I go second and trace, I get to the calculate, and if I hit 5, it'll tell me, oh, it's this line, okay, and I hit enter, and then this line. Well, these 2 lines intersect out there, so I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to write that down, 13 1/3 hours, okay? So 13 1/3 hours. If I take more than that, so that's going to be 14 hours. There we go, 14 classes, you'd use the flat rate. If I do it again, second and trace and go to intersect, I'm now going to go, I can go, if you look carefully, there's my little space alien. I'm going to move that over so I can see it. I just go left arrow, and I don't want that intersection. I want the intersection of these 2 lines to tell me that point. So I go down, and I'll say yes, that line, and then I go yes, that line, and then it wants me to guess. Well, I don't have time to guess. I just press enter, and it's at 88. Oh yeah, we found that already. So we're already good. So I know that 4 classes or less, I'll go with the pay-as-you-go plan. Between 4 and 14, I'll go with the middle plan, and more than that, I'll go with the other plan, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. I think I've got to stop this now. I'm at 14 minutes. You can do 13 using the exact same technique on your own. Good luck, everyone.